And then the guy walks out and says, dude, where's my car? Morning, kids. So we're bad actors is what we are. Yeah. Not in that way. So
good
hey, yeah, right. So welcome to episode number 1. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I for the occasion, I thought I would drink some smart water. That way, maybe I wouldn't say anything stupid.
Too late.
I said me. You're drinking coffee.
Yeah, pretty good. A little warm. Anyway, so welcome to episode number 1, the Mornin Kids podcast. We put it there so we wouldn't forget it. One of these days we get in the real studio, we'll actually have a screen up here that'll have that, and there'll be microphones.
Yeah, you might even have a real
guest. We may have a real guest.
A real guest that helps you.
So anyway, this is what we've been building up to is, vacation videos with your buddy who's kind of obligated to be here anyway because he's on vacation with you. So
it's been a great week.
So what we're going to do, kids, we're just not even going to really explain this deal. This whole thing is just more about having a conversation with one of your friends, having, got an idea of what we're going to talk about. But I think the first thing we're going to talk about that's heavily on our minds is David.
Yeah.
We went to, we've been in Branson, and we went to the David. I don't know, do you call it a play? Do you call it a musical? Because
it's a production.
It's a movie. It is a live action movie.
I've never seen anything like it.
It snowed.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
It was cold. Did you get any of it? Did it hit any of it?
I did. I got some snow on me. That was pretty awesome.
In the house.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. It does snow. And I was like, is that manna? Wrong story.
You almost got a spit take on episode 1.
It was it's like when all right, spoiler alert, step out right now, go see the David show in Branson, Sight and Sound Theaters. They didn't pay me to say that. But if you want to give me free tickets for that.
Yeah.
For this review.
Yeah, this Mornin Kids episode sponsored by.
This Mornin Kids episode could be sponsored by. We don't have a sponsor yet. That's the other thing. If this is not too terrible and you have a local business, Paris, Texas area, or anywhere, and want to sponsor this deal, not changing my content, but I'll certainly entertain offers and call that guy or the lady behind the camera. But the thing that blew me away is like when it opened up, I'm looking at. I knew it was a screen in front of us, and I'm like, okay, it'll come up. But did you notice it didn't come up, or it came up and there was another screen behind the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then,
but it looked like it was like a real scene. It was very well done.
Oh man, and then when they open the sides up, so when your kids, I'll go ahead and tell you, when you're in it and you're looking, it's like all of a sudden you got view from here. All the way around to here.
Panoramic.
It's a whole panoramic. That would be like a 180-degree view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is insane. And you're sitting there trying to, it was just really sensory overload.
Yeah. Real sheep running up and down the aisle. Real horses. People riding horses.
And Sam Elliott was really sitting at the end of our row.
Yes, he was.
Or it could have been Danny Bowman. Who knows? But yeah, it was, and I even found myself in sitting there, you know what's going to happen. You've seen this. Mm-hmm. You've read the book.
Yeah.
And yet you're still like
on the edge of your seat.
On the edge of your seat, mm-hmm. Like, okay, I know this story. I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it's just so well done, and not just the actors. I'm not gonna lie. I expected somebody that acts about as well as we do, and I was wrong.
Yeah, and singing. Oh man.
Oh, forget about it. David
was.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm pretty sure David may have been in a metal band at some point in his musical
His
career.
range is incredible.
His range was insane, and the young lady that was Bathsheba, she could wail. I could actually hear her voice for a moment because she was right there in front of us. You know, and you could,
And we had great seats, by the way. We were right there.
I'm gonna tell you our booking person for this outing with the families. I got to give it up to Mrs. Morning Kids podcast for just. I mean, she knocked it out of the park. Not only does she do our church's website, or our church online. What was it? Make her the online media specialist or social media director, or she does this stuff. She does, you know, she's turning red behind the camera right now, aka phone. We're gonna have real cameras, by the way, kids. I'm gonna break this wall every now and then, mainly this, but I am gonna break the fourth wall. Anyway, yeah, great experience. And the Italian restaurant afterward.
Yeah. Paschetti's?
Paschetti's.
Yeah. Very
My
good.
dispatcher, Erica, sent us there.
Yeah.
She may live another day.
Yep.
It was
good.
It was phenomenal.
If you go to Paschetti's, you need to ask for Crystal.
I think was her name. Crystal was awesome.
Yeah, great waitress.
You know what? I think we're going to hashtag Paschetti's in this, so maybe somebody from Paschetti's will see this, and maybe Crystal will win a drawing or win a gift card or get a high five or something like that,
or a raise.
Or a raise. Yeah, just raise the roof with her. I don't know, man. She killed it. Anyway, so serious stuff. What do you do for a living?
I work one day a week, you know. I'm a pastor. We only work one day a week, right, Jeremy?
You know what? I'm getting more and more. I'm having more and more respect. Not that I never didn't have respect for what a pastor does. I know a pastor is a, it is definitely a job of service. Can't call it a job. To me, it's not a job. Although it is I know it's it can have grueling times.
It's a calling. People don't get into ministry for the money.
Really?
Yeah, it's generally
all them
most pastors,
all them jars you buried in your yard is not money.
most pastors are bivocational or trivocational, meaning that they not only do they work at the church in sermon prep and funerals and weddings and all the things that counseling and all the things that pastors do, but they also might have a job at Kimberly-Clark, and they might even moonlight, somewhere else, just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's a calling. It's not something you do for the money. You do it because the Lord has put
because He told you to in your mind.
The Lord has put it on your heart, and it's not something I know from my standpoint. I wrestled with it for years because I just thought, this is just me thinking. This isn't, the Lord. This is just me trying to think outside.
I can relate. Right now.
Yeah.
That's how I was with the Sunday school gig. Yeah. Is that and that's where I do have. Hey, listen, I have hard enough time getting one Sunday school lesson that I have a guide to direct me in what we're going to teach, what we're teaching on that week, what we're studying. You're in my Sunday school class. You've seen the good days. You've seen the bad days. And the ugly days.
But I also been seeing gradual improvement every single week, and you're getting more comfortable and getting better and better at it. And
now all that said, I'm probably going to have a really bad week now on the next one. So thanks, appreciate that. That's awful nice of you.
Well, I'm in your class, so I'll heckle you and throw tomatoes or something.
Yeah, it is. But I do. It gives me a. I work all because I'm doing. Doing Sunday school prep in the evenings after I work all day in a hotel room the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And then for 20 minutes of instruction on Sunday, and I'm just doing one of those.
Yeah.
You do more than those.
Yeah, because on top of being a pastor, I'm also the Baptist Student Ministry Director for the Red River Valley Baptist Association. So during the fall and spring semesters, we provide a free lunch for college students from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then at 7 o'clock on Monday night, we have a Bible study for any PJC students that come. So that's another hat. Of course, I'm very involved with our Baptist Association with missions and committee, and we're right now working on helping Shakota Baptist Church put on a vacation Bible school in a couple of weeks, doing a kids camp. I'm working with 4 or 5 other churches, putting on a kids camp for pre-K through 6th grade kids.
The same kids camp that your kids went to,
Mm-hmm.
that my daughter
Yes,
went to.
your daughter went to. That's
You
right.
know, and
It's I've been doing it for 13 years, this kids camp, and I have seen it come full circle where kids coming into the program as kindergartners are now youth workers helping.
Because Darcy was there as a worker because she was in high school.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. But my youngest son, Michael, was a kindergartner, and now he's going into his senior year in high school next year, and he's going to be helping for like the 3rd year in a row.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it make me feel old. I earned every one of these gray hairs up here.
Yeah. Some of these are named Darcy.
Yeah. But talking about ministry, there may be people watching this that just how do I know what I'm being called and to do, and or how do I know how to serve? Where what are my gifts? What do I need to do? And I can only speak for what it was for me. And for me, I was just looking for a place to plug in. I moved to Winsboro, Texas in 2001, and it's the first time I was working for Brookshire's as a store director, and it was really the first time that I had the opportunity to be off on Sundays, most Sundays. So I was able to finally start going to church and start plugging in. And I didn't know what to do. And I prayed, Lord, how can I serve in the church? And I was new in the church, so people weren't just coming up and inviting me to do things. And but I did play drums, and the Lord had just impressed on my heart to go buy a set of drums again. And
I'm very thankful for that, by the way.
And I did, and I went to the youth pastor the next Sunday and said, "Oh, by the way, I just bought a set of drums. I don't know why I bought them, but the Lord impressed on my heart to do it. Do you have any need for a drummer?" And he was like, "Dude, our drummer just moved." And
Wow.
So yeah, it was just instantly I was plugged in to the youth ministry on Wednesday nights, and began a little praise team that would perform praise music on Wednesday night youth, and we grew that youth group to over 125 kids.
Wow.
On Wednesday night. We had to knock down walls and build make the room bigger.
Were y'all feeding too?
Yes. Yeah, we
a lot of kids.
A lot of kids, and
it's a lot of pizza.
It was a pretty good sized church, and but I said that to say this, because I stepped out and I plugged in, and the next thing I know, they're coming to me saying, "Hey, could you teach youth Sunday school?" Well, wait a minute, I've never been a teacher before. You can relate to this.
Can absolutely relate to this.
And all the anxiety you felt, I felt, but I thought, well, these are teenagers. I probably know more than them. So it took some of the pressure off, thinking, so I can come in here and I can teach, this level, not have to worry about trying to get up here with these kids. And so I started getting my feet wet with teaching. And then we had one of our seasoned deacons came to me and said, "Hey, I'm going to be out next Sunday in my Sunday school class. Do you think you could teach my men's class?"
I believe I've heard this story.
And you talking about a wake up call. Everybody in that room had white hair or no hair, and and they were these guys have been Christians for 60, 70 years,
80, 90 years, right.
Time.
Right.
And I'm thinking, what in the world can I bring? And I studied so hard that week. And at the end of that class, every man lined up to come up and and just say, man, that was outstanding. You have a gift. And that was a confirmation that, okay, God is putting me in these positions.
Yeah.
And then so I finished out that year as the youth Sunday school teacher, and then they said, we want you to teach adults, and they moved me up to a young adults class, kind of like what you're doing.
I've got the adult range class.
You have the adult range class, and in a perfect world, it would.
No, I know, because I really didn't think about it until one day, till the young man moved up in there, and I got to thinking, I was like, I have a range of 18 to 60-ish in my class.
Yeah, you do.
And I'm like, I was like, man, that is a pretty good range. But it on the upside of that is when we get into discussions, we actually have a very wide array of viewpoints, life experience. So if we ever get into a really, really good conversation, which we're limited on time, but sometimes you make the pastor late, and but I've really thought about how cool that could be if we really ever get in that really good conversation one day. This young man may be giving insight into something that the people at the top of that range may really benefit from, and vice versa. Because, and I think it was when in men's breakfast the week that I come in and brought the lesson, somebody made the point that it's not always the more seasoned gentlemen in that room that are teaching the younger guys. I think it was about the oldest gentleman in the room that said, "Hey, I can still learn from these young guys in here," and that's a pretty powerful thing. And I can't imagine being in your class, because when you tell me that teaching that class for the first time, you know what I see? I see Ed Schaefer sitting in the front row, which is a fear of mine. Hopefully, I'm gonna break the wall. Hopefully, you folks will get to meet Mr. Schaefer. He's I'm gonna get him on. I'm gonna get him on the show, and it's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be an incredible show. We may have to have a panel on that one. I don't know if I can keep up.
It's brilliant.
But that's what I think. I think of what would I do if I had to, because that's the demographic you were teaching.
Yeah. Guys that can recite entire books of the Bible by memory. Yes.
Yeah.
Those kind of people.
Guys that were there.
So going back to what I say, if you're looking for a way to plug into your church, just plug in. Don't wait for somebody to invite you, because what will happen, see, I plugged into during this time. I also volunteered to help on the children's committee and working with the little types. The little Utes. And I found out real fast that wasn't my calling. I wasn't called to be a children's pastor, because I love while I love children, I can take just so much of the squealing and the running around, and before I'm just like, oh, I got to get out of this room, and I don't know.
You want to go shake their parents?
Hey, God didn't wire me for. Now I'm great with children for short spurts, and and at kids camp, there's a reason why I picked 5th and 6th grade to teach instead of pre-K.
You can reason with that age a little bit.
Exactly, and because
a little bit,
a little bit, and but yeah, you plug in, and then suddenly another door opens, and then another door opens, and pretty soon you find yourself. Because I guarantee you, when I volunteered to play drums, being a pastor was the last thing on my mind.
Right. And now that you brought that up, where do you turn the corner at that point?
Man, it's well, let me
catch us up to it. So I don't want to rush the story. We're not on the clock here.
So here,
I've never actually heard the full.
So here we are. I'm teaching co-ed ones, what the class was called, co-ed 1 Sunday school, which was 25, 35-year-old couples, and from that I was asked to become a deacon in training there at that church. So I began becoming a deacon in that church, and we had a good friend of mine who became a good friend of mine. Kyle Ray was our missions pastor, and he began working on a overseas mission trip to East Asia. And he said, would you like to go with me? And I was like, really, go to East Asia?
So is this trip number one?
This is for trip number one, 2007. And I prayed about it and had the funds to go. And so I said, yeah, why not? So I went, and it ended up being the first of 8 trips that ended up taking over there to.
So you're getting ready to go on another one.
Well, I'm hoping to get to go to India pretty soon.
Okay.
But anyway, backing up to my first trip, when I came home, something shifted inside of me. The Bible says that God will give you the desires of your heart. And many people interpret that to mean, oh, whatever I desire in my heart, God's going to give me. Well, that's not what that means. What that means is when you submit yourself to the Lord and you serve Him and you're putting His kingdom before your own kingdom, He will give you desires in your heart that aren't from you. They are from
Right.
Him. And those things override anything else going on in your life. And so I came back to the grocery business in 2007. Suddenly, grocery business wasn't doing it for me anymore.
Yeah.
And I found myself spending more time talking with customers on the parking lot about the Lord and talking to employees, leading night stalkers to Christ in the back room. And
I have to say, I did stock at night.
Mhm.
We needed it.
Yeah. Believe me, I work nights too.
Right. We needed it.
But I began thinking, even in 2007, Lord, are you calling me into ministry? And I quickly squashed it because, number one, at the time, I didn't have any seminary training at all. I had no certificates on the wall. I was just an average, everyday lay person who was not educated. And if you've done any investigating into churches hiring pastors, generally you got to have some paper on the wall.
Yep.
Usually you got to have at least a master's degree. In any large church, they usually require that doctorate.
Yeah.
And so I quickly decided, this isn't what so I just kind of this is just my thinking.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I had such a great experience overseas, and I came back and I carried that enthusiasm into my life, and chugging along 4 years later, the Lord gave me an opportunity to leave the grocery business, and that's when it really started ramping up for me, and I began to talk to people, talking to pastors and saying, how do you know? How do you know when God's called you?
Yeah.
Into
Because I can't imagine what it's got to be just a tremendous weight anyway to know that it is the calling, not the world side, the worldly side of it.
Yeah, because I was doing everything I could not to do it.
Right.
Because I last thing I wanted to do was be someone who was self-appointed. Because I just in my heart felt I'm not qualified. I'm not anything special. Never, as a matter of fact, when I became a pastor, it took a couple of years to get comfortable hearing someone call me pastor, because it just felt so foreign and strange, because I just thought, I don't know what I'm doing,
Hey, the first time we were on stage, and Brandon, it was, I can tell you the moment. We're on stage, Stillwell, Oklahoma. The first time we went up there that was the first time we were there. The first time we were there, when Brandon was talking about it, he's like, and I'm a pastor, and the drummer's a pastor, and we got a Sunday school teacher on bass, and I'm like,
well, I am a Sunday school teacher.
What?
That's kind of, yeah,
I guess I am a Sunday school teacher. And I'm just like, when I sit here, Sunday school teacher, I don't think about tattoo where, it's not the thing.
Right.
I think of Miss Margaret.
Yeah.
That's what I think about when I hear Sunday school teacher.
Well, I went and talked to. I was going to East Paris Baptist Church at that time, and and Donnie Edwards was the pastor. And I went to him and I just said, "Man, I just need some guidance, you know." And he said, "When I'm preaching, do you ever feel like you want to get up and add something to it?" I'm like, "Yeah, all the time." He said, "Well, that's a good sign." He said, "When you're reading your Bible, does God speak to you through His Word? Do you get a feeling when you read something like, oh, I got to go tell somebody this?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, well, God confirms your calling through His Word." He said, "Has anybody ever told you that you should be a preacher?" And I had to go back in my memory to a staff meeting 5 or 6 years prior.
Yeah.
My deli manager, after a staff meeting, told me, "You're going to be a preacher one day." And I laughed in her face. I said, "You're crazy." I hadn't even been overseas yet at that time.
Yeah.
But she saw something, and so I said, "Yeah." I said, "I have." And he said, "Okay, there's another confirmation." And anyway, he said, "Has your circumstances changed any?" Because God also, He speaks through your circumstances. And I did. I'd gone through a career change, and things were kind of crazy, and I had really had to lean on the Lord a lot during that time. And I said, "Yeah." I said, he says, I think you're called." And I'm
Pick
like,
up the
so
phone.
I was like, wow. So February of 2012, after our conversation that next Sunday, I walked down and I told Brother Donnie, I said, "I am surrendering to the gospel ministry, and I don't know what that means. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know what God wants me to do." At the time, I thought maybe a missionary, because that's what I had done.
Right. Yeah.
I thought maybe a missionary, but Lord, my yes is on the altar, and
Here I am.
yeah. So I stayed in that position, in that job that I had left Brookshire's for, all the way through October. And so from February to October, nothing had happened. I had sent out some resumes, and well, the man who led me to Christ was a man named Bill Dickey, who was at the time, he was pastoring out at when I got saved, he was pastoring at Glory Baptist Church. And at the time in my life right here, where I'm surrendering, Bill is pastoring out at Maxie Baptist Church. Well, I called Bill and I asked him, "Can I put you on my resume? Because I've surrendered to ministry and this, that, and the other." And he said, "Sure, you can." He said, "Why don't we meet for lunch?" And I said, "Okay." So I met him for lunch. And when I met him for lunch, he offered me a associate pastor position out at Maxie Baptist Church. And just like that.
Well, that was easy.
And I'm just like, my goodness. And so I went there to lead music and to start a youth program there. And started off, I think, November, December, January, February. Things were going good. I was getting some opportunities to preach on some Sundays. Bill was giving me some opportunities. And then Bill got sick, and Bill had to resign. And I was thrust suddenly into an interim position out there. And you're talking about learning trial by fire. And
Oh, I bet. I bet.
But
Here, you've done this a handful of times. Go do it all.
Yeah, right.
It's only one day a week, right?
Yeah, right. And so that's how it happened. And it all started. Hey, you need a drummer? That's how it all started.
Wow.
And one door led to another door, to another door, to another door. I'm not saying if you volunteer to work in the youth department, you're going to be a preacher in a few years. But
kids, I'm just saying,
who
says drumming don't get you somewhere?
Yeah, right. And
all those drummer jokes that I send you, they actually have a little bit different meaning. But they actually have a totally different meaning now.
But yeah, that's how I became a pastor. Which, by the way, I have been taking classes through Andersonville Theological Seminary. I did achieve my associate degree in biblical exposition last year, and I'm about 1/4 of the way through my bachelor's
Look at you go.
studies right now. So I'm working on my bachelor's degree in biblical exposition through Andersonville Theological Seminary. So anyway, trying to
Get better.
trying to get smart.
Trying to get smart. Keep drinking the water, buddy.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're going to do product placement, you always got to
Oh,
rotate.
well.
You always got to rotate towards the camera.
Oh yeah, smart water. See, I'm not very smart. It's not working.
It must be in the water.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's wow. It's a pretty crazy story. I guess I never realized.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story, so it's a podcast is a good place to tell it. But
so many times we're in rehearsal situations, we're in Sunday school, we're in
there's never an opportunity to have a 30-minute conversation about this very often.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's how it happened for me, and so if you feel like God has called you into ministry, but you don't have any education, but I'm telling you, there's going to be a huge void over the next 5 years of senior pastors who are going to retire, who are going to pass away, and there's just not a lot of biblically sound people to take their place.
We've had discussion without saying the who or the where, but you and I had a conversation last week of an area not too far from us that an association that, as I hear it, I don't know for sure, but I've heard missing five pastors
in one association,
right? Because I called you really scared the other day.
Yeah, right.
I called you before I called my wife.
Yeah,
I ain't saying that's what you always need to do is call your pastor first, but it helped in this situation.
Yeah. I've been blessed at Spring Lake that God has sent a bunch of men to Spring Lake who have a desire to preach.
We have
so I'm
a good group of dudes over there.
And giving these men opportunities on some Sunday nights to prepare some sermons, and then getting to record those sermons and sit down with them.
It's like watching game tape, right?
It's like watching game tape. And, but this is what I do, and is I sit down and I say, now we're going to press play, and I'm not going to say anything. I said, you're going to be your critic, and then you critique yourself, and then I will add to any thoughts and whatnot.
Right.
And because there's nothing as humbling as watching yourself preach.
I'm sure.
Because you're like, why do I scratch my nose that many times? Why did I, why do I do that with my left hand? Why do I sway back and forth when you're going to be hypercritical of yourself? And,
I'm sure.
And I know Ronnie Buchanan got to do a message a few Sunday nights ago, and I got to sit down with him.
Yeah, I missed that one. I don't know where I was.
Yeah, it was. I think his sermon was 25 minutes or so, which is good. And but it took us an hour and a half to get to go through the video, and he to his credit, he cringed a lot on things that he did, and I would say, don't, Ronnie, you're being too hard on yourself. That's not bad. You're
right, right. So we're all. And I've done that in music situations, performance situations, and it's probably very similar. Is I'm watching myself and I can see every little thing that I do.
Yeah.
When I'm playing, there's certain faces I make when I'm playing bass guitar. They're called bass face.
Yeah.
That are just total cringe, and I'm sitting there thinking, I really look like that? Because when you're doing it, you're thinking, man, I'm cool. I'm just play, slapping the bass, and but it's not. It ends up
looks like something stinks on the stage. You're making a
look like you're smelling feet.
It's
looking at Ice Cube face.
You remember Michael Jordan when he'd go up for a slam dunk? That tongue would come out. That's what I used to do when I do drum fills. Until my wife told me, why do you stick your tongue out when you do a drum fill? And I was like, so now when you watch me, I'm going, I pinch my lips together because I don't want to stick my tongue out.
So what I tend to do is a lot of times, used to when I get to playing bass, there's a lot of times I have to keep my mouth shut because I'll just get the mouth to get to open,
Yeah.
or I'll just, and so you can go
Yeah.
look and find pictures.
Yeah.
I will close my
Yeah,
mouth
it's-
like that
it's funny,
because I
yeah.
end up either making, Mick Jagger,
Yeah.
but I'll end up making these just these terrible,
Please don't-
terrible
yeah,
faces.
please don't do Mick Jagger.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh,
Come to your emotional
that's
rescue.
Mick's not going to watch this, so
Well, I don't know. I actually have a connection to Mick Jagger
Do you?
in life. Yeah, actually, my dad went to high school with his brother-in-law. Well, former brother-in-law. Yeah, so it's yeah,
Yep.
really, really small world after all.
But going back to, I'm really getting a charge out of trying to help these guys who want to preach,
Yeah.
to try to help them to get better and to get more confident. And that's really getting better. It really equals being more confident, because generally most of the cringe stuff that you see from young preachers, it's just because they're nervous, because you get up there and you're,
Yeah.
because I mean, when you take it seriously, when you get up there and you say, I am about to preach the word of God,
You can't get that wrong.
it's like, I don't need to mess this up.
Well-
and
Correct me if I'm wrong. You have to answer for that.
yeah,
This is the thing. When I started with Sunday school, that's why I'm hypercritical there. If it doesn't feel right after class,
Yeah.
the last few weeks, I'll admit, since I changed,
mm-hmm.
since I kind of changed the way I'm going about it.
Right.
Thank you, Brother Ed, because that's what gave me the idea to change it. Was the week that we had the big group thing after the sale, and Ed did our lesson.
Yeah.
That inspired me
Yeah.
to go the next week and try it like that.
Yeah.
That feels like my groove. Hey, let's read these two verses.
Yep.
Let's break those verses down. Let's read these two verses. Let's break,
Yeah.
and that seems, I'm comfortable in that.
Yeah.
Studying, first off, I want to apologize to every teacher I ever had in school. I want to apologize to every teacher that wanted me to do homework. One in particular, and I'm gonna say it right here. I can't remember the man's first name, but his last name was Higginbotham. I cannot, because we had 2 or 3 Higginbothams. But my biology teacher, Mr. Higginbotham, who was also a preacher. I didn't know this.
Mhm.
He preached at our church at Southside Baptist over there when we needed a pastor, and told my grandmother, I had Jeremy in class, and he apparently told her that I was always real good in class, but could not get me to do work. I get it now. I apologize to you, sir, for not doing work in your class or not doing your homework. I did classwork. I just didn't do working. Because he said, I know he's bright. He just won't turn in no work. And I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't turn in work. But studying, I never studied. I have studied more since I took over that Sunday school class.
Yeah.
And even some more before that. Since, you've witnessed it, since the whole New Glory thing has kind of just really spun my life around, and my wood definitely ain't wet.
Yeah.
Because it just that whole experience, it is definitely, I have studied so much. But going to what you were saying, changing the way that I'm doing that class has helped me, because I know the material better when I'm going in. If I know what I'm talking, I don't ever know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm talking about sometimes. But, if it had being confident in the text certainly helps. But that thing that's hanging over your head, and especially, I imagine it really, like you said, it probably has to really hit somebody that's inexperienced, that's new at it, is you do have that is in the back of my head every time that I'm coming out of my pie hole with scripture in front of a class is, I can't get this wrong.
Yeah. And
This is the word.
And just know, this is, I'm working on 14 years preaching.
You still
and
get it?
and I still get the butterflies. I still get nervous. I still wake up in the mornings on Sunday mornings just thinking, oh, do I have this? Do I have everything right? And I would just pour over it one last time before I go in, and because it's you're handling God's word, and you want to do it responsibly. The Bible says that teachers are going to be held accountable, that they are held to a higher standard. And
Yeah, absolutely.
but I do want to say this: there are many. And I'll break the wall.
No, you can break the wall. I break it all the time. It's got a hole right here.
There are many people perhaps watching this right now who God's called. I hope, whether it be this week or over the next years, that it's in YouTube land.
All we need is one.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that God has called to teach who have not surrendered because they think, well, I don't know if I could do that. But even though God has put it on your heart to do it. And so when God asks you to do that and you don't do that, that means there's a teacher position in your church that is not filled. So what ends up happening is some other well-meaning church member who is not called to be a Sunday school teacher will step up in the void and will do their best to try to teach that class because someone needs to be in there. And if you've ever had a horrible Sunday school teacher, that's why. Because they're not called to teach, but they are trying their best because no one else would do it.
Right.
And we got to have somebody to teach the youths.
We got
to have somebody to teach the little kids, or we got to have somebody to teach the grown-up folks. And so surrender. Put your yes on the altar and step out there. And there are people in your church that can help you to grow, help you to mature in that area, and will be patient with you. And like you said, you got the curriculum. It's an open book test.
Yeah.
You just got to go through and make it your own. Yeah. And
it's well, I know teaching a class is not just a student. I have learned more, and then I find myself riding down the road, and I drive for a living, so my driving used to be, what playlist am I listening today? Is today going to be a Van Halen day? Mm-hmm. Is today going to be a Mike McClure day? Is today going to be all gospel day? Is today going, whatever? Right. It's like, what playlist am I not tired of yet? I rarely listen to music anymore.
Yeah. Listen to preaching.
I listen to preachers.
Yeah.
I listen to, if nothing else, I just reach over there on my Bible app on my phone, and we'll just, whatever our lesson is, mm-hmm. I turn that on. I just sit there and I just, or I listen to podcasts where they're talking about it,
Yeah.
Not this one, probably. I probably wouldn't listen to this one. No, she's playing. I would totally listen to this one. But yeah, I find myself, I get non-interested in other things. I'm just like, because once I started learning stuff, now I just like, okay, what else you got?
Mm-hmm.
And mainly, and I'm not saying that, because I'm not trying to say that I'm this learning machine now. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't learn how to learn when I was a young man. And now, I had a few years where I wasn't necessarily on the best path.
Mm-hmm.
I burned a lot of brain cells up.
Yeah.
You remember, you were there, some of you. Anyway, but it's a tough deal. Now I still do have to break into, listen to music and, and then I find out one of the music things I was really digging the other day is actually totally AI created, which saddened me, but I still like the song.
Yeah.
How can you go wrong and listen to a song about Jesus and my coffee? That's how I start my day. I don't know. That's how I start my day.
Yeah.
But, well, Mike, it feels like a good spot to wrap it.
Yes, sir.
Man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on for the first time.
Thanks for listening to my story.
I'll probably, now I have it, so I can go listen to it anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And kids, I'm just going to tell you, if I get my way when we get this podcast studio built, then you may see this fellow's ugly mug more than you want to, because I'm really leaning on him to try to have a weekly word with Brother Clark.
Yep.
Or a Spring Lake podcast, or something like that. We're gonna have the facility.
We might even have some Bible dad jokes.
That's actually, I'm gonna reserve that for a segment on this show one of these days.
Okay.
Remember how remember Saturday Night Live back in the day was Deep Thoughts from Jack Handy? Yeah. We're gonna have like lacking thoughts. Pastor Mike Clark.
Yeah, not smart thoughts.
Not smart.
Your daily groaner from Brother Mike.
That's it.
Daily groaner.
That may be it. Anyway, so I hope you stuck around to the end. Thanks for being here for episode 1. Peace, kids. Have a good day.